Hello, more Bazaar. Today is patch day, January 7th, patch 10. There is some new Jules items, some new skills, some reworks to pre-existing items, of course, some rebalancing, all very cool stuff. Once again, there's not a whole lot visually going on, so if you want to just check this on in the background, maybe that's the best thing to do. I have the patch notes on screen if you want to read along, though. I will just be reading through and giving my thoughts on stuff. So let's get into it. So first off, leaderboard rewards. End of season will be awarding titles based on the positioning of players on the leaderboard. Top 1,000 players will receive titles with more inclusive titles based on your final position. So cool stuff to grind for if you want to get to high rank. I did briefly get into it this season. This season was really good in my opinion. It's like the most I've played on my own time. Yeah, cool stuff if you want to grind. Updated rating calculation formula, so rating changes are the same for all ratings above 1080. Effectively removes the cap of 1090 rating. I think this is for like leaderboard stuff on the website. I'd love to show you, but I can't log in. I forgot my password and I can't reset it. Oh well. Anyway, so basically a lot of people were just tied for first place because of this, is what that means, and now that won't happen. Anyway. Ghost Pool, updated Ghost Pool so it pulls globally instead of regionally. Cool change. Doesn't really do that much. Did hear about some weird stuff about like people like VPNing to like, what was it? I don't remember it, but it was like VPNing to specific like country because the Ghost Pool was easier. I don't know. That seems like weird behavior, but whatever. Fixed now, I guess. Anyway. New content, Mutant Baker, Day 3 Diamond Monster, and then he added this skill to the game finally. So this has been in the game for a while, but it just hasn't been available on an actual monster, and now it is. This is, if it stays the same scaling anyway, your non-tool items have 5, 10, 15% crit for each tool you have. Neat little skill. Stelle items, I do kind of wish they would just tell you what these items do in the patch notes. I don't know, let people theory craft. Once the patch is out, they're just gonna go find it on Bazaar DB anyway. But oh well. Oblivion Cannon, Oblivion Vortex Relay Drone, Targeting Drone. These sound mysterious. I really hope one of these is a bronze item that you can build around. I feel like Stelle really needs some more openers that are actually good. So hopefully, we'll see. I'm not gonna lie though, Oblivion Cannon and Oblivion Vortex don't really sound like bronze items, but maybe Targeting Drone? I don't know. Anyway, Jules items. Attachment set, knife sharpener, massive cleaver. So it sounds like some weapon stuff, right? For sure. Stand mixer, veggie garden. Okay. Yeah, again, wish I knew what these items did, but we'll just wait, I guess. The joy of discovery. There's some new skills. Emergency landing, maybe destroys a vehicle. Leverage momentum, displacement roll. It's a drone. This probably makes stuff into drones. It's cool. Tool fight, plowshares to swords. And then there's some new jewel skills. I would eat that. Oh, I bet this turns stuff into food. That's a really cool skill. I like that a lot. Experiment chef. I hope this makes stuff into tools. That'd be kind of neat. And then also the same skill. So who knows what that is. All right. Yeah. Don't have a whole lot of information on that stuff, sadly. Anyway, so monsters, Burninator bot, weak point detector moved to gold tier. Weak point detector at diamond got buffed to plus 40, which made fighting this guy with his flamethrower a little bit of a nightmare for where he was. It wasn't like impossible, but it was significantly harder than he was before. This is a little bit better for it. And then Covetous Thief, Covetous Raven moved to bronze tier. He could just 4% you for 200 damage, which was very silly. Now he'll do a little bit less of that, hopefully. A little bit sad, though, if you actually want to play this thing. I want to get this thing on Primal Core Dooley sometime. Sounds fun. Anyway, Foreman moved to diamond tier, was silver. This guy was very silly for what his tier was, because they kept buffing Forklift, which didn't really help Forklift, but it helped Foreman because he had Forklift so early. So he's hitting you for like, what, 950 every... I don't know, was it like 8 seconds, something like that? Very silly for a silver fight, so now he's properly tiered. Haunted Kimono, upgrade one of their scrap to silver. Cool, makes that fight a little bit more clickable, maybe. Kyber Drone and Commander. Kyvers have discovered Honeycomb. What? Oh, it's this item. Yeah, the Jules item. I see. Kind of cool. I wonder if Commander is getting an item replaced or an item added, because he's already kind of, half of his board is nothing, and then there's also a ticket on it and like an insane skill. It's either nothing or really, really good. All right, and then Rogue Scrapper, Granola Bar to Bronze tier. I'm not crazy, right? It was already bronze, wasn't it? Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? Anyway, cool, I guess. I don't know if it was silver. Was that an issue? It's Granola Bar. Anyway, encounter changes. Beck's art is updated so it looks less like a centaur. Why? I thought her and Mattel were like supposed to be the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a different creature now. I don't know why. Sure. Dock swapped the effects of work as dockhand and work as maintenance. What? Okay. Well, this was just the the tool and shield options, but I guess the names are different now. I guess it makes a little bit more sense, right? Maintenance is more tool based, and it doesn't even have the tool icon. What would be really funny is if they swap the names and then didn't change the icon. All right. Strange Mushroom, correct an issue where Basket's event quester would not complete the quest if it should have. So if you had like 2 remaining, I guess this was a bug. Tox Clocks now spawns our cell. Cool change, and this will make setting up stuff like Lightning Rod a lot easier now. Well, not a lot, but easier. Is kind of neat. You could just go to a shop, find Lightning Rod, Fire Hose, and what's it called? Cloud Tinker, like all in one shop. Kind of nuts, maybe. We'll see. All right, now on to the actual characters. All right, first off, Vanessa. Butterfly Sword, cooldown to 765 was 7. Damage to 10. So Butterfly Swords is the one that gains multicast with each upgrade. So this is a 5-second multicast 4 weapon, which is not terrible. I think it still has the issue of like you're never playing this thing at silver, so you just don't bother with it till you see it at diamond, but whatever, fine, I guess. Blunderbuss ammo to 5 was 3. Good change. I don't know why this thing had such low ammo. It felt really, really hard to play. But maybe I'll actually use it now, especially with the limitations put on incendiary, or not incendiary rounds. Heated shells, yeah, the skill one, right? I don't think the low ammo is very necessary anymore, so good change. Grenade now is 5-second cooldown, kind of neat if you play like powder flask grenade early. It's not bad. Hand axe cooldown to 6, sure. Hate leech cooldown to 5 seconds was 4. And then poison yourself 1 is now a additional active effect, and then when you crit, charges 1 second. Cool change. I like that a lot. Like that's a bit like less bad with the new scimitar they added. I haven't seen a whole lot of scimitar, so maybe that's why, right? It feels like the crit poison yourself was there to have anti-synergy with scimitar, and then scimitar didn't end up being very good. So maybe they're dialing back on that. I mean, it's still an anti-synergy, right? But it's not as bad as when you crit poison and also poison yourself, right? All right, and then lighter burn to 3579 was 3578. That is weird scaling. Why was it like that? And then port, whoa, cooldown to 654 was 6. Is it cool? So this is potentially, I don't know, a 4-second charge all your ammo items 1 second. And a reload, right? Maybe you can do something with that. You play like port, repeater, I don't know, some grenade. I don't know. Grenade kind of falls off late. We'll change though. Maybe it'll actually go on the board for once. Maybe. Scimitar of the Deep, corrected deadly to this is 50% crit chance. This was previously, basically it doubled the amount of poison it was doing on a crit, which was not correct. And then Shark Ray had its scaling doubled, scaling to 10, 20, 40, 80 instead of 10, 20, 40, 60. So it goes from 40 to 80 now at Diamond, which is pretty silly. Cool change. I feel like he definitely falls off a little bit later into the game, and now maybe I'll actually play him. Cool change. Anyway, Slumbering Primordial Shiny now gives double damage bonus. I would love to see more actually good shiny. I feel like shiny should just always be an insane enchant, right? It's shiny. But on something like Slumbering Primordial, you would just much rather have like pretty much any other enchant, which is kind of funny. Well, previously, I mean, basically like anything that has big multicast as its main selling point, Shiny is a little sad on, and I wish it wasn't like that. Anyway, Switchblade now gives double damage bonus, sure. Vampire Squid damage to 15, 30, 45 was 5, 15, 30. I want to make this guy work sometimes, but he kind of just seems like a loser. One day, Vampire Squid. All right, now we're on to pig items. 28-hour fitness correct an issue with Radiant required weapon and shielded items rather than ore, so it would only work on like Spiky Shield and Tusk Helm. It was very silly. And then Abacus has been changed. Kind of saw this coming. Cooldown to 4 seconds flat, doesn't increase or decrease at Diamond anymore. And then the value bonus also went down to 1530 instead of 2040. Fine, I think. I don't know. I still really like the Abacus redesign. I like that you don't have to, you know, spend all game value scaling it for it to actually do something. I wish more pig items were like that. I've said for a while now that I wish a lot more pig items had like higher floors and lower ceilings. Something like that. Anyway, Atlas Stone cooldown reduced by 1 second at all tiers. Cool change. I love Atlas Stone. It's a very silly item. Let's see. Atlatl now starts at silver. I don't think this changes a whole lot who is playing Atlatl on like day 1 through 4. It makes it a little less forcible though if you were always picking Atlatl at bronze and then doing something with it, which I don't think was a terrible idea. But you're also playing pigs, so backspace is important. I don't know. Let's see. Beast of Burden cooldown to 10 was 8. Why? This has types of items you have in your stash. Huh. So no more Beast of Burden. Hold on, Cargo Shorts. Cooldown to 8 was 10. Okay, so they swapped. This has types of items you have. Oh. Huh. So Beast of Burden and Cargo Shorts swapped. Interesting. That's a really weird change. Cargo Shorts is really good because it does heal, so you can set up textiles. And hold on, is textiles mentioned? Starts at gold. Okay, so textiles also got a little bit shot. Interesting. Yeah, Beast of Burden definitely has a harder time going infinite than Cargo Shorts. It's interesting though. I kind of like the swap because now I don't know, maybe. I wonder if it's gonna kill Cargo Shorts though. Maybe. I don't know. The cooldown got reduced, so probably not. Very cool change. All right, sorry. I'll move on now. I'm just like thinking of what this is gonna do to pig. Cargo Shorts is like a big thing he was doing a lot of the time. Is easily like his strongest item. Anyway, Beehive correct an issue with fire and toxic where they're dealing 100% of damage instead of 10%. Didn't they already fix this like last hotfix? Or maybe they're just mentioning it again, or maybe they didn't actually fix it. Hold on. No, they did. So I guess they're just mentioning it again. Bootstrap starts at gold. Honestly, this is a buff. Silver bootstraps are really gross. Thank you. Let's see. Coin cure value increased to 357 was 243. This is when you heal, this gains value. Cool change. I like it. A little less dependent on outside scaling like truffles and whatnot to make it actually good. Display case shield 10, 20, 30 was 20, 40, 60. Really? Huh. I'm a little surprised. I feel like I don't see a ton of display case. Usually sponsored apparel. Oh, anyway. Double whammy deal damage to 20% of max health was 15%, then 20%, and then the cooldown instead goes down. It is. So this is just a buff, right? Yeah. So it's basically the old diamond version at gold now, and then minus 2 seconds at diamond now. Huh. That's cool. I didn't see a ton of double whammy, so I guess it's fair. Right. It's usually like Lion Cane stuff or Regal Blade, Lion Cane, stuff like that. Let's see. Hot Stones gains max health equal to 2, 3, 4, 5 times its burn. Was 5 times. So there's a reason to upgrade. I mean, aside from the plus burn, obviously. A bit more of a reason to upgrade it now. I think it honestly doesn't matter that much. You know, the max health was nice, but you were usually just playing it so that you could play T-set, right? All right. Luxury Kios, however you say this thing, value to 36912 was 3579. Will change. Better at diamond. Doesn't really affect anything early, which is fair enough. Oh man, Piggle's Protector, cooldown to 5 seconds was 4. So obviously slower, and then it also affects the like stuff you could do with like you either play model ship or tournament arena, and then you play that with Piggle's board. You have multicast Piggle Protector, and it's charging 2. They're toys, and then those are also 2-second charge. You know, it loops, like, right? And now it doesn't do that anymore without some CDR anyway. Interesting change. All right, well, sad change. Regal Blade, quest 3. This is the buy properties one. Plus damage equal to double the value of your items was just equal to the value. So I don't really know what you do with this. I don't know. It's like a little bit better with pawn shop stuff or like gym. Maybe, I don't know. Are you playing Regal Blade with Jim though? Not really. Kind of cool though. I've seen some kind of neat like abacus setups with Pygmalien dagger, if you'd believe it. And this is kind of that. Maybe that's a thing. We'll see. Let's see. Robe cooldown to 6543 was 7654. So -1 second. Sure, a little bit better. Kind of just played it early anyway. But like a 3-second robe is not bad. You can probably make some infinites with it, right? You play like a model ship yo-yo every time robe goes. That's 2 yo-yo uses. Then charges robe for 2. I'm sure there's some infinite potential. It's kind of cool. You play with like 20-hour fitness. Yeah, maybe robe is cool. Sauna cooldown to 5. Sure, does a little bit of burn. An actual item instead of just the insane passive effect that it is. And then Succulent's heal 10 was 20. Fair enough. It was kind of nuts early. Sponsored apparel scaling to 1, 2, 3 value gained on each item use instead of 2, 4, 6. Streaming setup works with toys and friends was just toys. Like, I don't mind, but why? So it works with Beast of Burden? It works with Bird? I guess, I don't know. It's probably just for like cross-class synergy stuff, I guess. Sure, maybe get it on Dooley? No, I don't know, man. I don't really see it, but sure, I guess. Why not? Textile starts at gold tier. Fair enough. This item is like half a pig right now, so I wonder how this will affect him. It's like very, very important on him for a lot of stuff. You know, you play like Hash Cannon, you're playing like the Jorts Infinite, which the Jorts Infinite is also like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's dead. It's still possible, right? And I don't know, maybe you're just playing both, right? You play Beast of Burden and Jorts, and then you need Textiles Keychain to make the Infinite. Oh, but I guess you have the 2 properties, right? Of Cargo Shorts and Beast of Burden. I don't know. Interesting changes to pig, because it was like Textiles, Jorts was like half of this character, it felt like, at least to me. That was like the easiest way to set up dumb bullshit, right? And now it's kind of gone now. So we'll see what happens. You should feel a little bit slower now, maybe. I don't know. Seems like mostly it nerfs. And I did hear that pig was pretty strong this season. I didn't really feel it myself, but I suppose so. Anyway, interesting changes. We'll see what happens with pig. All right, let's see. Now we're on to Dooley. Angry Balloon Bot cooldown to 7/6 instead of 8/7. Cool. This is the one that gains damage when your shield is reduced. I never really played him. I didn't see anyone else play him. Maybe he'll actually be good now. Maybe he'll just die to poison. Angry Balloon Bot. Ooh, this is cool. Oh, is it? Never mind. Never mind. So the cooldown, the base cooldown is now 4 seconds, was 5, but the ability of reducing your cooldown by 3 while you have shield got nerfed to 2 seconds. I thought this was going to be a 1-second item if you had shield. It is not. It is still 2 seconds. Kind of neat though. He still can make some interesting infinites. I think it's kind of a cool item. Battery cooldown to... This change is really funny to me because they nerfed battery to 5 seconds, and it's not like amazing at 5. It's still playable, right? It's just not super great. And then as a buff to battery, they gave it 5 ammo, which is pointless. What battery item wants to go 20 seconds, right? So now it's back to 4 and the ammo's back at 4. Cool, sure. Or no, it was 25 seconds. Yeah, 25 seconds into the fight, your battery will run out on the old version. Oh no. Anyway, Clawrum shiny now doubles the damage bonus amounts. Cool, shiny effect. I like that. Companion core. So this is a funny bug. I'm a little sad I never got to show it off before it got fixed. Correct an issue where deadly companion core buffed items in the stash. Interestingly, oh, you know what? I was about to spread misinformation. I'm glad I checked. But yeah, previously this worked on friends in the stash. So you could do some weird shit like, I don't know, you just use a companion core a ton during like a PvE deadly companion core, and then you have like, I don't know, a Chris Army knife, and you play it with like a swashbuckle, and he's got like 1,000% crit. Some weird shit like that. It wasn't like it's like super crazy. I don't know. You could buff like Dualtron with it, right? And then you just come in at 1,000 crit. Some silly shit like that. Anyway, but I believe this also used to work with Obsidian. So if you Obsidian buffs your friend's damage, so you could use that a bunch in the PvE, and it would, you know, start your friends with like 1,000 damage. It was very silly, but I guess that got fixed earlier, and I didn't ever realize. All right, coolant is now a tool. Sure. Crane damage to 300 was 150, 300. Big fan of this change. Crane felt kind of, I don't know. I think it's still gonna feel kind of gross to play until Diamond. You know, it turns out doubling your scaling is kind of good actually. Maybe it'll be a bit more playable early now. 30%. It's not bad. The medium, it's gonna be like what, 90, then 110, some. Sure. Anything to make Crane playable. Please. Cryosphere. Correct an issue with heavy cryosphere where it did not freeze opponent's cores. What? Oh, sorry. I was just confused because this is how cryosphere works, right? It freezes everything aside from cores, right? Doesn't matter if your opponent also has a core, it still won't freeze it. But I guess heavy is different because it specifies your core. Kind of neat change, I guess, then. Sure. Dinosaur. Cooldown reduction when you have 3. Okay. I like this change a lot. It felt really awkward to fit 4 tools or dinosaurs or relics, whatever it was. I think it was dinosaurs and relics, yeah. On the board sometimes. Good change. Dino Disguise cooldown to 987 was 8. So at Diamond, it's a little bit better. And then the shiny now gives +1 multicast to adjacent dinosaurs. Cool. More good shiny effects for multicast items. Dino Saddle shiny now gives additional +1 multicast. This used to just be +1 multicast on Dino Saddle itself, which was terrible. Dualtron nerf. Little surprised, honestly. So now it's 900 and then 1,800 instead of 1,000, 2,000. Wacky. Maybe, I don't know, maybe what changed with Dualtron? It got like the vehicle tag. I guess the shielding got up last patch or something like that. Maybe that's why. I don't know. People are kind of waking up to Lizard being a really, really good item. Maybe that's it too. That's a lot of procs for Dualtron, right? I've seen a couple setups of Companion Core, Monitor Lizard, and then just Bulldozer there for the CDR because it's enough to get Dualtron going fast enough. All right, Dualtron mainframe correction. Some issues with enchantments targeting weapons instead of friends. So that was your Radiant and Deadly. Basically, it was targeting weapons with shield and weapons and shield items. Basically, it was giving half Radiant or Deadly to Dualtron, I think is how this worked. When it should, probably not do that. Duct tape. How far we've come. Shields when you use an adjacent item. I remember early Bazaar duct tape being such a bullshit item because it did this. This is what it did originally. And it was on Bananable. If you got it early, it was like, holy shit, this shit's OP. You know, you're playing it with like Pig and a Gonjo and then some fast item on the other side of it. And now we're back. Now it's adjacent item. You wanna know what? Doesn't sound that insane anymore. The power creep is real. This is just a normal duct tape now. I don't know. It sounds really good, honestly. I think it sounds pretty solid for Armored Core, because Armored Core needs a little bit of help, I think. It's a little bad at the moment. And then its enchantments are on now also when you use a shield item. I don't know why it needed all that. Interesting. Why is it like that? That's so weird. Because Dooley has like what, defense matrix, which is when you use an adjacent item shield, and then it does like haste when it goes. And that doesn't do this, or I don't know, did the defense matrix get changed? No. So it just has better enchantments than the medium item. Why? It seems a little odd to me. Anyway, green moss. I don't know. I guess using a shield item is maybe harder than using an adjacent item at times. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Green moss poison to 6, 8, 10, 12 instead of 4, 6, 8, 10. So a little like 2 higher at all tiers. Hover tech 3, 4, 5 items start flying was 2, 3, 4. I really like hover tech. Good change. A little bit more playable now, and it can. I've kind of liked it. I played a game of Launcher Core where I had this be my thing that got everything flying and looping, and I just didn't have that many items that crit. I was playing Launchpad. Speaking of Launchpad, starts at gold, burn to 612. Totally fair. I don't know how this item has been ignored for so long. This thing is ridiculous. It turns out the used any item burn is kind of really, really strong. I don't know why I don't see more people play. I guess, I don't know. Launcher Core is a little tough to play at times, especially at silver. And I don't know, the only other way to play is Companion Core. And no, it's totally fine with Companion Core. I don't know why you wouldn't just play that. Anyway. Mech moles. Correct an issue with fiery mech moles where it's buffing on use instead of on itself being hasted. Sure. And then shiny is double damage and double shield bonus. Cool change. Motherboard is now a 4-second item. Cool for... So a bit better stuff for railgun too, right? Hover tech is now 5 items at diamond, and then motherboard is 4 seconds. Change. Party float is now 50, 100 shield instead of 50, 150. What? Why did it get nerfed? An item starts flying was a friend starts flying. I guess maybe for that. It's a bit more playable on Launcher Core setups. Weird. I mean, it's not that big of a nerf. It's, I don't know. 50 shield's a lot, but maybe not super late. And I feel like most of the time you were playing this just for the CDR anyway. I don't know. I did see one really good party float board with Pterodactyl. So maybe that was just something I was not in the know about, and maybe party float was OP. PR conditioner deadly now targets cores at 40% from all items at 25%. Weird. I don't know why. Like, I get that he charges off cores, but I don't know. I feel like if you're playing Pierre, you're playing Launcher Core or Companion Core, which can't crit, right? I don't get it. Maybe it's for the deadly Pierre ignition core setup. You know that one, right? I don't know. Plasma grenade cooldown to 6 was 7. Dude, 6. Sorry, I'll stop. Ammo to 2 was 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, now it doesn't slow all enemy items anymore. It just slows 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting change. I wonder if this also means that the enchants are gone. Turbo plasma grenade. I really hope they fixed. Honestly, the like turbo plasma grenade hasting your whole board, the icy freezing the whole enemy board. I was okay with those. I don't know why the hell toxic, restorative, and shielded aren't based off this thing's burn number, and it makes me upset every time I see it. Yeah, I wonder if the turbo icy stuff is gone now. Interesting. I don't know. At diamond, it shouldn't really matter, right? 6 items is usually the whole board anyway. Interesting change. The startup is a bit better now too. I don't know. It's just like playing a 2 ammo 6 seconds slow 3 item. I guess it's still a lot of procs for power drill early. I bet it's okay. We'll see. Propeller hat. Shiny now gives +1 multicast to adjacent cores and flying items. Cool change. More good shiny and what was even shiny? Oh, you know what? I bet shiny on this was double haste duration, and that's kind of lame. Primal core scaling to 10, 20, 40 was 10, 25, 40. So a slight nerf at gold. I think primal core is pretty good this season, so makes sense. Red Firefly burned to 6, 8, 10, 12 was 4, 6, 8, 10. So a bit better at, it's just 2 better at all tiers. Rocket launcher cooldown to 7 was 8. A little bit better with power drill early now. I like that board quite a bit. Security camera now gets a better crit bonus. Hey, look at that. I don't know why it didn't before. It felt really awkward to play, honestly, because you had to get your crit from an outside source, and like, I don't know, I have played security camera critical core. It was weird and it did work. Maybe that's just it then. But if you're playing this with like armored core or something, it's a little awkward to play around a 20% crit chance. Anyway, crit bonus is now 20, 30, 40 was 20%, and then shiny gives double crit bonus, or sorry, double crit chance and shield bonus. Thermal lance burn 5 was 6, scaling to 5, 10, 20. So worse at silver and gold, but better at diamond. Interesting. And then Pterodactyl also nerfed. Damage to 800 and then 1600 was 1000, 2000. Cooldown to 14, 10 seconds was 14. So a bit of a buff at diamond. Yeah, I don't know. I saw that really cool party boat Pterodactyl setup. It did look really good. Maybe more people were running that than I thought they were. Sure. Thrusters enchantments now trigger off the item to the left. Good change. These were half HP, poison like 6. That sucked. I don't know why they were like that. Wallace scaling to 10, 20, 30, 40 was 10, 15, 20, 25. Sorry, just reading these numbers, it is like hitting me how bad this was. Why was he like that? Not that I think this really saves him. I think you're still only playing this guy early, but he's a little bit better now if you, I don't know, you get an early Diamond Wallace. My favorite. Welding Torch, this is burn for like, what is it? Yeah, 20% of your shield. Now it's 765 instead of 876. So 5 seconds, burn 20% of your shield. It's as faster, or no, it's as fast as Force Field. I still feel like Force Field is just better. Force Field's also bigger. I don't know. 5 second Welding Torch. I could see myself playing that. Maybe it's time. All right, now on to Mac. Black Rose regen to 1 base was 2, and then the regen scaling went down by 1 at all tiers, but the cooldown is now 6 seconds instead of 8. So a buff nerf. I think overall a nerf, you know. I feel like you were only really playing Black Rose early, and this is half of the scaling that it was getting. And also being a little bit faster is a little weird in a way, because stuff like a Loodle takes like 7 seconds to actually go off. So it could be considered a nerf in that direction too. I think it's probably still fine. This item was really, really good early, and I doubt that will change a ton. Flying Potion starts at silver. Thank God, this thing is so useless at bronze. Fungal Spores and chance change to be default outputs. Yeah, Smelling Salts and chance change to default outputs. I hope they are not just the lame, like, when you use this item, slow. I found the Fungal Spores and Smelling Salts and chance really, really fun. It's just a shame that they, you know, make a passive infinite with like 2 items. Maybe they just change them back, right? Because Fungal Spores didn't have this issue before. Old Fungal Spores and chance was like, they were actually stronger. It was when you poison, do X, but the Toxic enchant was just when this item goes poison, right? I don't know. Smelling Salts was just like when you use this item, do, you know, if it was heavy, it would, or I guess heavy Smelling Salts would just be double duration. Fiery Smelling Salts would be when this item goes burn, which was kind of lame. I like the Smelling Salts and chance. I think they're really fun. But we'll see, because they didn't give specifics. Memento Mori can now be changed. What? Can now be changed with shiny. What do you mean can now be changed? Anyway, shiny now doubles invulnerability duration. Cool. So now you're 4 seconds of immunity at diamond, which is pretty silly. Mirror cooldown to 3. Cool. Mortar and pestle damage scaling to 10, 20, 30, 40 was 10, 15, 20, 25. So if you're playing diamond, mortar, and pestle, who's doing that? I don't know. Optical augment starts at silver. Good change. Honestly, a buff. This item was not being played at bronze anyway. Potion. When you buy this, get a catalyst. Whoa. A reason to buy potion. Huh. Cool. Alright. And then Plague Glaive. Shiny now gives double poison bonus. So again, this is one of those items that has a ton of multicast anyway, so shiny was kind of purple on it. Regen potion now starts at bronze tier. Cool change. If I had to take a guess, I'd say like 5 regen. I don't know. There's not really a consistent line with how it is already. Alright, Sifting Pan can now be enchanted with shiny to get a second catalyst. That's kind of fun. And also, you know, less, well, you know, dead where you'd like re-roll a shiny medium and then get Sifting Pan and it deletes your shiny. That already wasn't happening because they fixed that last patch. Anyway, Venom now triggers the base effect a second time. Cool change. I like that a lot. So if you're running a Spider Mace with it, it's 2 procs every time Spider Mace goes. That's kind of fun. Venomander. Poison 2 was 1, 3, 5, 7. Regen 1 was 1. What? What? Regen 1 was 132, 53, 74. Oh yeah, I was getting real sick of the Venomander meta. Thank God they fixed. What? How? Alright, well, Diamond 74 regen Venomander finally nerfed. Thank God. Anyway, cooldown is now 6, 5, 4, 3. So a lot of the Mac items have been kind of changed like this. They don't scale their base numbers anymore. They just lose cooldown, which is kind of neat because most of them are just being used for procs for other stuff anyway. Weaselpede redesigned. Hold. Cooldown to 8, 7, 6. Freeze an item for 0.5 seconds when you slow or poison charges 2. So this is really good with Black Ice, right? If you play this Black Ice at Diamond, it's effectively on a 4-second cooldown. Just trying to think of other ways it's gonna maybe go on. You know, you play it with like a Sansa time, right? And it'd probably be okay. You play this with like a heavy library too. This is gonna be at like a 4.5 with Black Ice. That's another 2 seconds off, so you're left with a heavy library. You're left with a 0.5 delay. Is that right? I don't know. Maybe I did my math wrong in there somewhere. Anyway, cool change. I like that a lot. Maybe Weaselpede will finally be good. Maybe. All right, on to Stelle items. Please buff something early game. What? What? Why? Out of everything? This is what gets buffed early? I feel like I'm losing it. Do the Stelle players just like gaslight the devs into thinking this is a bad... What happened? Whatever. We'll move on. Anyway, aerial turret. We got a damage buff. Cool. Plus 5 damage at all tiers. Balloon engine buffed by, you know, it's only 1 burn, but why? Just to send a message? What? I don't get it. Like, it's not that big of a buff. You know, plus burn on balloon engine is insane, right? So, you know what? Actually, this is a pretty... I'm at a loss for words. It's a buff for sure. It's pretty good. Just like, you know, any plus burn, very good. I don't know what to say. Anyway, let's move on. Please tell me they buffed something else about the early game. Battle drone. Cooldown to 7 was 8. Damage to 35, 70, 105 was 40, 60, 80. Sorry, I should probably elaborate on this. I feel like Balloon Engine is Stell's best opener by like a mile, and it's not really close. And a lot of her other openers are kind of they're okay, right? Balloon Ball Blaster I think is fine. Aerial Turret I think is fine. Everything else is kind of whatever, and not like super great. And I was hoping for buffs for that, right? You know, I think Air Pressure Rifle is fine, but it's something that kind of bothers me because like, you know, it feels like such an obvious thing to play and still doesn't have that many items. So it's not too hard to find and just do every game. I try not to, but anyway, sorry, I'll stop ranting now. I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other early game items in here. Anyway, whatever, it's fine. Hatch. Correct an issue with Restorator is doing more healing than intended. Weird. Yeah, that was half HP, heal 10% of your health, but it's actually doing 20%. Big one, Deadly Big One now triggers when this item is destroyed. Oh, this one. This was your items have 30% crit, which doesn't really do anything when you blow it up, right? Well, after you blow it up anyway. Bon Voyage enchants now typically trigger off this item being destroyed. Same with Boom Boom Bot. There's some kind of cool setups you could do with this though. I saw a really cool like pig board where they got shielded Boom Boom Bot, and that is shield equal to this item's damage, but it doesn't have to destroy it. Like it just goes when Boom Boom Bot goes. There's like a ton of shield scaling if you just do a bunch of burn with that. Makes sense though, you know. Hang Glider damage to 3570 was 2550. That's fair. I haven't seen a ton of Hang Glider. Hanger redesigned. Okay. Starts at gold. When you use a vehicle or drone, reduce your highest cooldown items cooldown by 5-10% for the fight. What? Isn't this... You play this with Space Laser, right? I don't know, do you have... You for sure have space. You set up like an infinite with one of the drones, right? With Stealth's Workshop. Angle Grinder or whatever the burn one is called. You make an infinite with that, and then you just speed reduce Space Laser's cooldown and also charge it at the same time, probably. Interesting. There's some other stuff to do with it too, right? You play this with... I don't know, what else are you doing with this? Skyliner, maybe, right? Because you'll be using a vehicle a lot. And yeah, maybe you could just make Skyliner go infinite. That's kind of fun. I don't know. It's an interesting change. I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating how much 10... I don't think I'm overestimating how much 10% is. That's a lot on Space Laser. That's, you know, 10 items until it's at... Well, you know, not exactly 10 items because eventually you'll start reducing the other stuff. But at that point, it shouldn't matter, right? Really interesting redesign, though. We'll see how it goes. Anyway. Lightning Rod. Damage to 2550 was 1020, so, you know, a little bit higher base damage. I think that it still doesn't really fix the issue of this thing needs scaling to be good, which isn't too hard anymore thanks to Cloud Tanker, but, you know. Anyway, Heavy Enchant now triggers off when you use an item. So this is the old Lightning Rod. When you use an item... What, so it's just when you use an item slow and then that deals damage? That's kind of cool. You could pair... Well, this is kind of neat. You could pair that with Sky Anchor, right? Every time you use Sky Anchor, you slow, it charges Sky Anchor. You could maybe make an infinite with that. And then, you know, Lightning Rod's doing more damage in the process. Kind of neat. Alright, Private Runabout damage to 100, 150, 200. Yeah. I think this thing being at base 100 damage was a bit sad for how much setup it took to make it good. Pilot's Wings. Bonuses now work on drones and vehicles. Was just vehicles. Cool. This is the plus crit to your flying drones or vehicles. Well, drones and vehicles now. Security Drone. shielding got up to 25, 50, 75, 100 instead of 20, 40, 60, 80. Steam hose. This is the when you... Okay, sorry. Anyway, sorry. This is the when you slow, this gains burn. I thought this here was the burn scaling. No, this is just the base burn numbers are now 8, 16, 24 was 12. I thought its burn scaling got upped to that, and that would be very silly, right? All right, and then tugboat gains the vehicle tag. So, is this the first vehicle drone, or no? The one that shield scales off burn used to be a vehicle drone, but that got removed. Yeah, currently the only vehicle drone, which you could pair. Hold on. Yeah, it's vehicle or drone, so that doesn't change anything there. But you can play tugboat potentially with like a flare gun, right, to reduce its cooldown. And now you're at a 4-second tool drone vehicle, which then you can get multicast with. Sorry, I'm blanking on so many item names. Orbital polisher, so now it's a multicast, and then you play with Stelle's workshop. It just goes infinite on its own. You play that with the new hanger and space laser, or no, you don't have space for all that. And I guess that's the issue. Yeah, you know what? That's the issue with the hanger that I didn't really think about before. Is if you're playing this with space laser, 6 out of the 10 slots on your board are taken up, right? You only have 4 items to do anything with. Maybe this isn't so crazy. It sounds really cool if you can make it work though. But yeah, you definitely can't do Stelle's workshop. I don't know what I was talking about there. I don't know, unless you had a 1 item infinite, right? Somehow. But yeah, this theory crafting from earlier doesn't make sense. Never mind on that. Still sounds really good though, right? I don't know. It's not too hard. I don't know. She doesn't have a ton of like super fast vehicles. Maybe this isn't as insane as I think it is. 10% is just a lot, right? Maybe it doesn't need to be that fast. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop yapping. Workshop gains the tool tag. Thank you. I think Stelle's workshop is by far my favorite item of hers. It's really fun to set up the infinite, but it's also really, really hard to find. You know, it makes sense. On the Jules, first off, I gotta check. It's not in here. Huh. I think Fruit Press is really, really strong right now. And I haven't seen a whole lot of people picking up on it. So I guess it slipped through. I don't know. I feel like every time I've picked up Fruit Press on Jules, it's been like a very easy win. And that includes some runs without Dishwasher. Dishwasher, of course, makes it insane. Sorry, I'll stop yapping about the Jules meta or whatever. Let's talk about patch notes. Okay. The stew now scales multicast on any item, not just food. Really good change. I want to see more of stuff like that. Hold on, I gotta check pumpkin. Where's pumpkin? Is pumpkin on here? Oh, pumpkin got redesigned. All right, never mind. Yeah, I'd love to see more stuff lose the food/tool conditional if it's not gonna like break the character. And I don't think stew is gonna break the character if it's not just food anymore. The best thing this is doing for Jules is like, I don't know, you play like the burn mallet with a prep station, and now you don't need a burn food for that multicast. Sure. Bounty leaves cooldown to 6 was 5. Fair. It's a really good item. Basket shield 40 was 50. Fair. Blender, correct an issue where this didn't count as used if it fails to transform an item. Huh. I didn't know that. Wacky. Bread, when this is hasted, your regen items gain 2 or 6 regen for the fight from charge on tool use. Sounds like it still has its initial regen effect, right? Cool. I don't know, is that good? So it's a bit of regen. I don't know. I think this and maybe some of the like Stelle reworks also are gonna be a little hard to say on until we see what their new items are. Maybe this is better because there's some new regen stuff on Jules. I don't know. But you could maybe just play this with like a bread knife and some regen trash. It's not too bad. I played a lot of rolling pin and honestly some rice. I think her haste boards are pretty good right now, and this is another option for it. Which is kind of neat. I hope it's actually good. I don't know, 2 regen doesn't sound like a ton for the amount of setup it usually takes to get a good haste board, right? Whatever, we'll see. Sorry I'm yapping so much on Jules. She's like my favorite hero at the moment. I got a lot to say. Bubblegum floor redesigned when you slow shield, heated when you use a food, slow an item. Okay, so no longer shields equal to your max HP. Does it? Oh, it doesn't give you max HP anymore when you slow. That's a little sad. I really wanted to get what is it? I don't know. I guess shield is kind of the same if you squint. But I really wanted to set up like you get heavy farmer's market, which is when you gain regen slow. You play that with luau, which is when you slow gain regen, that infinites, and then you play that with bubblegum floor, which is when you slow gain max HP. And that was really silly. But I guess that'll just make a bunch of shield now, and I don't know, the enchants on this are maybe good. Are they? I don't know. I guess if you shield scale, it's alright. You play it with like saffron, right? Sure. Cake batter now triggers on any tool use instead of adjacent. That's pretty cool. So you play this with skillet now, or you could always play with skillet. Never mind. Never mind. What does this do? I was thinking this like prep station. Now you could always play skillet next to cake batter because cake batter is the food. I don't know. Still kind of neat. Wasn't the best item before, so fair enough. Durian slows 3, 4, 5 items for 1 second instead of 1, 2, 3 items, so better for the actual slow effect instead of just being spiky shield. Will change. Farmer's market now correctly. Oh, really? Huh. No wonder this thing is so hard to find. Now correctly shows up for Kev's and Herma because it's a max HP regen item. Why wouldn't it? Weird. Anyway, giant lollipop now correctly shows up for Kev's armory. I guess because it does max HP damage. Sure. Oh, honeycomb got redesigned. Starts at bronze, cooldown 5, regen 1, 2, 3, 4, slow 1, 2, 3, 4 items for 1 second. And it doesn't look like that requires the heated anymore. So it doesn't scale anymore, and it doesn't charge off using adjacent food, but I guess an early slow, I don't know. What are you doing with slow early on Jules though? I don't know. Anyway. Mousetrap now starts at bronze tier. It deals double this item's max ammo was equal to this item's max ammo. This is the plus ammo for each small food you have, and it goes every 2 seconds. Is Mousetrap build real? I don't know. How much is the sad diamond? Let me see. You know what? Never mind. Assuming the ammo gets buffed up, right, with the thing moving to bronze. What, at diamond it's plus 4 ammo for each small food. 4 times 9 is 36. So 36 ammo, 90. Hold on. Or sorry, 72. I don't know why I went up to 90. Anyway, 72 damage every 2 seconds. Maybe. Probably not. I imagine you're still just playing this thing because it's a 2-second item and maybe you can do something with that, right? But I guess it does a little bit more now. Sure, go for it. Pancakes now starts at bronze tier. Now is multicast on heat instead of shield scaling. So this is basically baked potato, but shield. Sure. The shield scaling was pretty terrible. I don't know why you would ever play that. Pasta now correctly shows up Kev's armory because it's a max HP item. Cool. Pumpkin redesigned. Cooldown 5. Adjacent shield and regen items gain 10, 20, 30, 40 shield and 1, 2, 3, 4 regen for the fight. And then if it's heated, it does more slow. So it's a lot of slow stuff, which makes me wonder if some of the new items involve slow. I wish I could see the new items, but it is what it is. Refrigerator now correctly gives itself cooldown reduction if it is chilled. I noticed this one. Yeah, it's a little weird. Seafood cracker. Cooldown to 4 plus 5. Spice rack. Updated enchantments to trigger off adjacent item crit rather than adjacent food crit. Yeah. For some reason, this was specifically adjacent food when nothing about Spice Rack involves food tag. And then Sushi Boat now charges on any non-heated item use. So this was previously just food. Also, previously, I don't know, it didn't say this got fixed. But this thing is actually charging for 2 right now, not 1. So maybe you don't play this on food boards anymore. Maybe you play it with press. I don't know. Probably not press. Maybe like a rolling, I could see rolling pin. Honestly, kind of a cool item for like basically people who aren't Jules, right? Oh, you know what else this is good for? You play it with Laurel's Fortress, because this already gives you, 2 tags for Laurel's Fortress that you don't normally have on Jules Aquatic and Vehicle. And then every time Laurel's Fortress is going, it's getting 20 crit every activation. Kind of cool. Maybe you could set up a build like that. And if it's still charging for 2, that's kind of nuts. Trail mix quest requirement to 1530 was 2040, so a little bit easier to achieve now. Good. Whisk cooldown 2-5. This is the item that loses cooldown every time you activate it. Cool. Alright, on to common items. Barb Spike Warden. Corrected an issue where it charged off any relic use rather than just adjacent. Biomerge Arm. Corrected an issue with deadly adding crit chance instead of double crit damage. Sorry, what? Instead of crit damage. Oh, because Biomerge Arm already gives 100% crit chance, so this is probably like the item to the left of this deals double crit damage, yeah. Mortal Coil. Shiny now gives the weapon a level multicast. Cool. Octopus. Shiny now gives it +4 multicast. I'm sad I didn't see Goop Flail mentioned with the Mac items. I really hope a lot of these, I don't know, it just feels bad to get multicast or like shiny on a multicast item. It's like, wow, it's doing 1 more hit. My apropos chapeau is now 6 cast instead of 5. Wow. Anyway, singularity. Whoa. Now destroys any size item. Cooldown to 6. Huh. That's kind of nuts, isn't it? Is this just better? I have Colossus. I have Colossus is large. It's like a what? Yeah, I is 11 seconds when using adjacent item, charge 1. So it's got the charge going, but it's also 5 seconds slower, and you can haste and charge singularity. And it's a lot smaller. It's kind of cool. Alright. Good rework. Maybe we'll actually go on a board. Which kind of scares me, because the story is really annoying. But I'm glad it's actually playable now. Skills, anything to win, correct an issue where is allowing burn and poison items to trigger it. Okay. Arms dealer can now spawn on Stelle. This is the gain max HP when you buy a weapon. Sure. Burn containment added to Pig. This is when you burn charge a shield item. Expert pilot starts at bronze tier. This is the drones and vehicles, not tools. Have plus damage and shield, and it is now 15, 30, 45, 60 instead of 30, 40, 50. So better at every tier. Same at silver. First flames added to Pig, grease fire added to Pig, living flame added to Pig. That's the first when you first use a large item burn, and then when you use a tool burn, and then this is half HP reduce your burn items cooldown. So these two I think mainly just exist to muddy the pool and make Conflag a little harder to hit on Pig. Fair enough. Primal Rage, this is the leftmost weapon, is a relic and it buffs your relic damage. Weapon bonus is now 10, 15, 20, 25 instead of 10, 20, 30, 40. So not any different at bronze, but worse at all other tiers. Fair enough, I guess. It was most of the time if you were playing a relic board anyway, just kind of strength with an upside. Toxic Flame starts at silver. Welcome back. I missed the skill. It's really fun to build around, but moving up to gold was a little hard to find. Toxic Shield, Mac only re-enabled. Fall below half health each fight, shield equal to 2, 3, 4 times the poison on your enemy. This used to be on Dooley. Thank God it's gone. Dooley, my favorite poison character. But yeah, it's cool on Mac. War Chef starts at silver tier. This is, I believe, yeah, just double checking. This is plus damage. Your weapons have plus damage for each food on your board. So now that is 10, 20, 30. Really good for Fruit Press. I'm a big fan of Fruit Press. I think this item is kind of cracked. Let's keep it on the down low though. No. And then Waters of Infinity, plus regen for each non-weapon item is now 10, 20, 40 instead of 20, 30, 40. So the same at Diamond, but weaker at lower tiers, which is totally fair because you were getting out of silver anyway. And that looks like everything. So, cool changes. I'm excited to see what the new items are. Let me check if they've maybe been leaked. Oh, here we go. They have been shown. This is Veggie Garden. Adjacent tools have plus damage equal to 5% of your max health. You have max health equal to 3 times your regen. That's really interesting because you play this with farmers market and pasta, right? And that is, pasta is gain max HP equal to like X amount of this. Hold on. Yeah, it's 5 times this item's regen, and then farmers market is give this item regen equal to, what was it, 1% of your max HP. They like scale off each other now, even more so than they did before. Also, like, adjacent tools at plus 5% of your max health. That's not bad. Isn't that what Lollipop's scaling is? You play this with like chopsticks or something, right? It's probably just enough damage. I don't know. I don't know if chopsticks is really the best example, but you know what I mean. And then we've got massive cleaver, 12-second, deal damage equal to 15% of your max health. When you crit, charge this 2 seconds. It's not bad, and it gives a bit of payoff for, stuff where you're cycling food with something like serving platter, right? Crit build, but you don't really have payoff for it, and this is your payoff. Kind of neat. Wonder how it upgrades. Is it gonna go up to like 20 and then 25%? Because that's kind of nuts if so. Oh yeah, because also like you play this with, I guess you run into the issue of the board is too small. But if this does go up to 25% of diamond, you play this with a dishwasher, and now it's at 50%, and then you crit, it's at 100. And maybe that's something. I don't know. And then we have stand mixer. Haste adjacent items for 2 seconds. When your food is hasted, it gains 5% crit chance for the fight. So a little bit better for like rice, I guess. And you could play this with the new bread and like a microwave, maybe. I don't know. More haste items for my rolling pin setups though. I won't complain, even if it's a pretty bad one. I don't know if I'd play this with rolling pin actually, if I had to. I will say, I'm glad this is not like Pasta Maker where it's like haste specifically food. Thank God. Anyway, attachment set. When you use a non-weapon tool, deal 25. When you use a weapon tool, shield 25. Interesting. So you could play this with Veggie Garden. Adjacent tools have plus damage equal to 5% of your max health. That's 5 slots out of your 10, and then your remaining 5 is just some fast non-weapon tools. Probably not terrible. I don't really see how else you would damage scale it. Anyway, here's knife sharpener. 4 seconds haste another tool for 1 second. So cool for my rolling pin setup, CP. The actual effect doesn't seem that insane though, I'm gonna be honest. I guess it's good with the previous item, right? This is a non-weapon tool that hastes other tools, so you get it going faster. Yeah, maybe that's it. When you use an adjacent weapon, it gains 4 damage for the fight. What do you do with this? I guess you use it with knife set, right? Maybe that's the idea. It seems kind of, I don't know, is this good? It's like a weird switchblade. Yeah, maybe it's fine. You play with like chopsticks and a knife set. Sure. One last thing on Veggie Garden is, I don't know, I feel like Fruit Press kind of falls off a little bit if you don't find Dishwasher. It's still totally doable. It just feels like it needs a couple like different skills and charge stuff. But Veggie Garden gives a pretty big boost to Fruit Press. It is a food. So I guess you just play it in the far back, like behind Fruit Press. I don't know, maybe it's a thing. Okay, let me go see if they posted the Stelle items. Alright, well, Bazaar DB hasn't updated yet, and they haven't posted the Stelle items anywhere. I really wish they would just post the, what the items actually do. Because it's really fun to see those new items in Theory Craft here, but I don't know what the fucking Oblivion Cannon does. Hopefully it's a bronze item. Somehow. Some way. Anyway. Cool patch, it seems. I like a lot of the new Jules items. That seems really fun. She's been my favorite character for a bit now, so I'm excited. Yeah, cool patch. Hopefully the new Stelle items are cool. Still want to know what these skills, again, just let us know next time, please. This shit's gonna be data mined in an hour. Let me theory craft. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. And I want to get this video out as soon as possible, right? that is all for this video though. I will be streaming later tonight. The new patch. Come hang out. Come see the new stuff. Maybe Oblivion Canon new meta. I want to try out the new hanger, honestly. That seems very silly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. If you want to help me out, consider leaving a like. Helps with algorithm stuff.